see. Let's do a little adjustment here. See if I can, So I follow Dr. Sheena Howard on Instagram, and she has this really great philosophy called Survive the Gap. And Survive the Gap, the basic idea is that there is a gap between where you are right now and where you hope to be. So I saw a video the other day that she did where she was talking about this, and she was talking about how when you're in the trenches and you're really trying and things just seem like they aren't working out, to just keep going because there's a gap and you have to survive that gap if you ever want to get to the good parts. So on my sewing journey, I sewed as a kid. I made doll clothes for my Cabbage Patch dolls. I mentioned that in my previous video. But when I started sewing again last January 2025, there was a huge gap. And it was actually pretty difficult for me at first. I wanted to quit, which sounds, pretty on brand for me, because that's what I've done my entire life. Is I start something and then I quit. I wanted to play piano. It got hard because I learned the treble clef and I learned all the keys, and then I found out, you have to learn the bass. You have to learn the bass, and it's all the same keys, but they're different fingers, and you play them backwards. And I was like, oh no, that's too difficult. I'm not gonna do that. So then I quit. And then the same thing with guitar. I started out on acoustic, and I couldn't get past the calluses. Like, just building up the calluses on your fingers is really painful. And then once you have them, it just made it awkward for me to touch stuff in my daily life, because it just felt like something was on my fingers. So I filed the calluses down and just moisturized my fingers, and then I was done with that. I didn't learn guitar. I've done that with languages that I wanted to learn, or when I wanted to learn how to code, and kind of have even done that with wanting to be a filmmaker, because it's did you just not want to make films anymore? And it's not that I don't want to make films anymore. I mean, clearly you saw the intro to this video. I clearly still want to make films, but I don't know. There's something about those things that, I don't know. I couldn't survive the gap between where I was and where I wanted to be. It was too difficult. And I quit, and that's my bad. But with sewing, it has been a full year of me sewing, and I want to show you that even though I am very much still in the gap, I'm still down here, and I'm trying to get, to where I want to be with this whole Felt Happy Factory thing. I just wanted to show you where I started and how things are looking. The first thing I made was a hamburger bun, and as you can see, the stitching is very messy and uneven, and this stitch running along here was a basting stitch that I was supposed to use to cinch the edges, but I actually just kind of use it as a real stitch, and if I cut this, it'll fall apart, so I messed that up. I also put cardstock in here, and if you can hear that, that's cardstock, and it makes that horrible sound, and it actually just doesn't feel good in the hands. So this was the first hamburger bun that I made, and I thought I ate with this, okay? I made this and I was like, oh, can't nobody tell me nothing. I'm eating. I came up with this hamburger bun. So this one is where I started, and this is how I ended up. So this one, I didn't put cardstock in this one. For this one, I used foam. The foam is softer and it doesn't make a weird crunching sound. My stitches are even, and I use the proper color thread. And then for this one, I did use a basting stitch to get the edges to crinkle up like that, but then I left it as a temporary stitch and made it so that if I cut it away, it would be fine. Also, the sesame seeds, I did smaller stitches for that, because you can see on this one, they're really big. And just the quality of the felt that I used was not good for a hamburger bun. So this is the level of improvement that I made in just a few months. I wanted to make ketchup packets. So my first ketchup packet looked like this. And I stitched ketchup. The stitches are uneven. They're like not cute. Like the label's kind of crooked. And I'm still making improvements, but I feel like this is a bigger improvement. So for this one, I just painted the word ketchup. And then instead of stitching in white, I stitched in red so that it would blend in with the felt. So this one, like, sure, it may not be horrible, but I really feel like this one is a lot better. And my first design didn't even have the seeds, but you know, you can see how it's like not stitched all the way. It's coming up. It's like seeds on this side, but then this side is just like ugly, tattered thread that is just not cute. And then I figured out, well, I just need to stitch more, work a little harder, and get something that actually looks nice and is sewn all the way around and isn't gonna come apart, you know? Let me show you my first piece of bacon. So my first piece of bacon looked like this. I gave up sewing this because it was so ugly that I didn't even want to look at it anymore, because it's just not cute at all. It just looks like a mess. And now this is how my bacon looks. I did both sides and I put pipe cleaners in here so that it could bend and crunch, and you can straighten it, but then you can like crinkle it back up again. Very cute. I love that. This is my first strawberry. So it's not cute. I mean, it's cute in the sense that, oh, it's small and it's cute. Don't mind that. That is glue, because it was glued to one of my cupcakes that was also ugly. But the proportions aren't right. It just looks like, you know, it's also like a choking hazard size. My second strawberry was a little better. It's a little bit bigger. I don't really think a kid could choke on that. But then this is what I finally came up with. And just like, these are still works in progress, right? This isn't perfect, but this is better than this, in my opinion. The sushi I started out with, really small, in my opinion, not very cute. But then I came up with these. And these are bigger and better. And they're fluffier. And they're sturdy. And they actually feel like, you know, something that is just better and like nicer. I also came up with chopsticks that are actually like sturdy and can withstand being like held and played with. Felt chopsticks. My first tortilla, just ugly. it looks bad. It looks bad. Like maybe from far away you could be like, oh, that's a cute, tortilla. Maybe from far away, but close up, it just looks a hot mess. One of my first attempts at a cupcake. So you can see it is not at all like cupcake shaped. This thing, the cupcake tin, like I messed this up. And I just couldn't get this shape right. No matter what I did, I just couldn't get the shape correct. So I just kept working at it, and I kept working until eventually, I got a little closer. I even put beads on this one to be fun. But then I figured out, you know what? This is the shape that I'm looking for. Because this looks like a cupcake. This looks like a real cupcake shape. Much more than this. And then adding little details, like putting in the veins on the lettuce, just some back stitching on both sides. Little things like that make my work stand out and just show how much I've improved and how much better that I've gotten. And my time in the Gap is not through. I'm still very much at the beginning. I want Felt Happy Factory to be a bigger thing. I want it to be a business. I've always dreamed of being some type of business owner, and I never really saw this coming. So I'm gonna go with it, and hopefully it doesn't turn out like piano or guitar or filmmaking or learning a language or learning how to code or any of the other things that I've tried that I was like, ooh, that's hard, and then quit. I'm gonna really try not to quit this time and see what happens. But if you're at the start of a really long journey, you're not alone, because I'm here too. I know it's difficult and it's not easy, and sometimes you're just like, I can't do this today. But just know that you're not by yourself. I'm here with you. All we gotta do is survive the gap. So thank you so much for watching my video and being here. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and you can check the descriptions down below if you'd like to see what I have on offer at my Etsy shop. My sewing patterns are really popular, and I do draft them myself. So check that out if you feel like it, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye.